The glow of the screen paints your face in the dim light, a modern hearth around which you gather alone. You scroll, an endless river of images flows past your eyes, each one a polished promise, a tiny, perfect world served up for your consumption. You see the sculpted body, the result of a discipline you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. You see the Tuscan villa, bathed in golden light, a life of serene, aesthetic perfection. You see the startup founder on a panel, radiating a purpose so sharp it could cut glass, and you feel it, don't you? A familiar ache, a subtle, gnawing hunger. It's the whisper of more. The desire for a better self, a richer life, a deeper meaning. You save the image, bookmark the article. Add the book to your cart, collecting fragments of other lives like a magpie building a nest from glittering trash. Each click is a small prayer for transformation, a quiet vote for a future you that is finally complete. You are, by any historical measure, a god. You hold in your palm a device with access to all of human knowledge. You can order food from any cuisine, travel to nearly any corner of the globe, and choose from a dizzying array of identities, careers, and lifestyles. Your ancestors, who fought starvation and plagues, could not even conceive of the sheer, overwhelming optionality of your existence. You are freer than kings of old, and yet a strange question haunts the quiet moments. Why are you so tired? Why does this boundless freedom feel so much like a cage, a beautiful, spacious, exquisitely decorated cage, but a cage nonetheless? You chase one desire, and upon capturing it, find it hollow. The satisfaction is fleeting, a ghost of the pleasure you anticipated. The promotion arrives, but the anxiety of the next promotion immediately takes its place. The new relationship begins, but the faint background hum of its potential failure never quite disappears. The summit of one mountain only reveals 1,000 more peaks, each shrouded in mist, each demanding a steeper climb. This is the great paradox of our age. We are the most empowered, most connected, most stimulated generation in history, and arguably the most anxious, the most distracted, and the most existentially adrift. We have more tools for self-improvement than ever before. Bops for meditation, biohacking protocols, productivity systems, therapeutic modalities, but the self we are trying to improve feels increasingly fragmented, like a reflection in a shattered mirror. We worship at the altar of authenticity, yet our desires feel suspiciously borrowed. Are they truly yours? That sudden urge to learn pottery, to move to a new city, to adopt a minimalist lifestyle, was it born from the depths of your soul, or was it planted there by an algorithm that knows your insecurities better than you do? Was that yearning for a tranquil life your yearning, or the echo of 1,000 curated images of tranquility you consumed this week? What if the voice you believe to be your own inner compass is merely a sophisticated playback of the market's whispers, society's expectations, and the digital ghosts of people you've never met? We are drowning in a sea of answers, yet we have forgotten the question. We have become masters of the how to be more productive, how to be more attractive, how to be happier, but we are utterly lost on the why. Why this relentless striving? Why this constant need for validation from unseen faces? What if the cure we are sold for our modern melasma goals, more ambition, more desire, is actually the poison? What if the entire project of self-optimization is a trap designed to keep you running in place, forever chasing a horizon that recedes as you approach? The very tools you use to build a better you might be the ones dismantling your core. Herein lies the truly unsettling thought: what if your will is not your own? What if the desires that drive you, the ambitions that define you, and the dreams that propel you forward are not expressions of your unique spirit, but symptoms of a deep, hidden sickness, a sickness of the will itself? Before we can even begin to speak of a cure, we must first have the courage to diagnose the disease. We must dare to ask where our modern desires truly come from and what they are costing our souls. To find the source of this sickness, you must look backward into the abyss of history where our modern world was forged. You must have the courage to stand at the edge of the chasm that a madman with a mustache once declared open. Friedrich Nietzsche was not merely a philosopher. He was a seismologist of the soul, and he felt the earthquake long before the cities crumbled. When he famously declared that God is dead, he wasn't celebrating a victory for reason. He was sounding an alarm. He understood that for millennia, a single, overarching story gave structure to Western consciousness. This story, whether you believed it literally or not, provided a why. It gave a cosmic orientation, a set of unshakable values, a direction for the will. It told you who you were, why you suffered, and what you ought to strive for. And then it collapsed. The great anchor was cut, and humanity was set adrift on an infinite, terrifying ocean. What rushes in to fill such a vacuum? Nature abhors it, but the human psyche abhors it even more. Nietzsche predicted with chilling accuracy what kind of human would emerge from these ruins. He called this creature the last man. Listen closely, for this is not a character in a book, it is a ghost that haunts your every choice. The last man is the one who looks around at the wreckage of old values and says, "Why all the fuss? Let us be comfortable." He seeks not greatness, but warmth, not self-overcoming, but self-preservation. His highest virtues are safety, contentment, and the absence of pain. He takes no risks, dreams no dangerous dreams. He works his job, not for a calling, but for the weekend. He believes he has discovered happiness, but what he has found is merely the tranquilization of his spirit. We have invented happiness, say the last men, and they blink. They blink with a shallow, untroubled contentment, devoid of the fire of a great love, a great hate, or a great ambition. Does this not sound familiar? Is this not the promise whispered to you by 1,000 advertisements, a life free of friction, a state of perpetual, pleasant numbness? This is where the psychoanalysts enter the operating theater. Sigmund Freud would have seen this last man not as a choice, but as a symptom. With the death of the great, patriarchal God figure, the psychic structure of the individual was irrevocably altered. The superego, that internalized voice of authority, your conscience was left without a coherent script. In the past, it spoke with the thunderous voice of divine commandment. Now, whose voice does it speak with? It speaks with the scattered, contradictory, and ceaselessly demanding voices of the market. The Frankfurt School thinkers, like Adorno and Horkheimer, called this the culture industry. It is the new, decentralized God, a God of capital. This new God has no interest in your soul's salvation. It is interested only in its own propagation. It does not give you commandments. It gives you suggestions, trends, and lifestyles. It manufactures desires with terrifying efficiency, preying on the very emptiness it helps to create. It shows you an image of the perfect life, the minimalist apartment, the adventurous travel, the entrepreneurial success, and then it sells you the products to imitate that image. It doesn't want you to be authentic. It wants you to purchase the accessories of authenticity. You are caught in a perfect loop. The system creates a void, then sells you the filler. And because this new authority is not a single, monolithic entity, but a diffuse, ever-changing cloud of influencers, the influencer's post, the viral tweet, the targeted ad, you mistake its voice for your own. The Danish existentialist Søren Kierkegaard described this as the dizziness of freedom. You stand before an infinity of choices with no ultimate criterion for choosing. Which self should you be today? The stoic philosopher, the hedonistic artist, the disciplined athlete, the spiritual seeker. The culture industry presents all of these as pre-packaged identities available for selection. The result is a profound paralysis, a despair that masquerades as freedom. You are not choosing a path. You are merely trying on costumes, hoping one will finally feel like a second skin. But it never does, because the desire to wear the costume was never yours to begin with. The sickness then is this: your will, unmoored from any transcendent purpose, has become a mirror, reflecting whatever glittering object the world dangles before it. And the true tragedy is not that your desires are hollow, it is that this system of hollow desires is designed to ensure you never develop the strength to form a real one. It keeps you weak, distracted, and perpetually wanting, blind to the unseen consequences this has on the very fabric of your reality. This hollowing out of the will is not a silent, personal tragedy contained within the confines of your skull. It metastasizes. It seeps into the soil of our shared reality, poisoning the very ground upon which we build our lives, our relationships, and our societies. The consequences are not loud and explosive. They are subtle, corrosive, and all the more dangerous for being unseen. They manifest as a pervasive, low-grade anxiety, a cultural hum of inadequacy. You feel it in the way conversations have become a performance of success, a subtle competition of curated experiences. You are not sharing your life. You are presenting a highlight reel, carefully edited to elicit envy, the primary social currency of our time. This is the logic of the last man bleeding into human connection. Relationships become another arena for optimization, for gain, for the validation of a fragile ego. We don't seek friends, we seek a network. We don't fall in love. We enter into strategic partnerships that align with our brand. The other person becomes a mirror, and we are constantly checking our reflection in their eyes. Are we impressive enough, successful enough, happy enough? The authentic, risky, terrifying, and ultimately transformative encounter with another soul is replaced by a safe transaction between two polished surfaces. Now let us look inside the brain itself, into the wetware where this drama unfolds. Your brain's reward system, centered around the neurotransmitter dopamine, did not evolve for this environment. It evolved for a world of scarcity, where a ripe fruit or a successful hunt provided a powerful, motivating surge of pleasure. It is a system designed for intermittent rewards. But now you live in a world of infinite, algorithmically optimized stimulus. Every scroll, every like, every notification is a microdose of dopamine, a tiny, synthetic reward. Neuroscientists call this a variable reward schedule, the same mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive. The system is being constantly hijacked, overstimulated, and burned out. It's why you can scroll for an hour and feel nothing but a vague, hollow exhaustion. Your capacity for deep, sustained focus, the very prerequisite for mastering a skill, creating a work of art, or developing a profound thought is being systematically dismantled. You are being conditioned for impatience. You crave the next hit, the next shiny object, the next quick answer. The quiet, unglamorous, often frustrating work of genuine self-overcoming becomes neurologically intolerable. Why wrestle with a difficult book by Kant when a 30-second video can give you the illusion of understanding? Why endure the painful process of learning a craft when you can simply curate a collection of images of that craft? The path of least resistance has become a superhighway, and it is leading you directly to a state of profound, learned helplessness. This neurological conditioning is reinforced by a set of powerful cognitive biases. Consider the bandwagon effect, our innate tendency to adopt certain behaviors or beliefs because many others are doing so. The culture industry weaponizes this. It creates the illusion of a massive consensus. Everyone is practicing mindfulness. Everyone is pursuing financial independence. Everyone is living their #best life. Your brain, seeking to conform, internalizes these trends as personal aspirations. Or consider confirmation bias, our tendency to favor information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. Once the algorithm senses your insecurity about productivity, it will feed you an endless stream of content about life hacks and hustle culture, reinforcing the manufactured belief that your worth is tied to your output. You are trapped in a feedback loop, an echo chamber of your own manufactured desires, unable to even conceive of a reality outside of it. The unseen consequence is a slow, creeping homogeneity of the soul. We are all being sculpted by the same invisible hand, our inner landscapes flattened and reshaped to fit the same template. The wild, untamed wilderness of the individual spirit is being bulldozed and replaced with a suburban subdivision of the mind, neat, orderly, and utterly devoid of life. This is the true trap. You are being taught to build your own prison and to call it freedom. You are so busy optimizing your cell, decorating it with the latest trends in self-improvement, that you fail to notice the bars. But the feeling of being trapped persists, a silent scream in the heart of the last man. And this scream is a sign that something within you still refuses to blink. Something that still yearns for the open sky. The key to the cage is closer than you think, but it requires a radical shift, a terrifying realization that will shatter the very foundation of this comfortable prison. So you stand inside your comfortable prison, aware now of the bars you mistook for decorations. The air is thick with the whispers of manufactured desire. The impulse is to search for a better prison, a more authentic cage. To trade your consumerist desires for minimalist desires, your corporate ambitions for artisanal ones. This is the system's final, most brilliant trap, to make even the rebellion a marketable product. To break free, you cannot simply choose a different path, you must reject the map entirely. The escape does not begin with finding a new desire, but with a terrifying and exhilarating act of renunciation. It begins with embracing what the last man fears most: emptiness. You must be willing to stand in the silence, to let the chorus of borrowed wants fade, and to endure the profound discomfort of not knowing what you want. This is the sacred void where true creation begins. The first step is a radical inversion of values. You have been taught to seek happiness and avoid pain. The philosopher's path is the opposite. You must learn to court a specific kind of suffering, not the useless, soul-crushing suffering of a meaningless job, but what Nietzsche would call noble suffering, the pain that accompanies growth. It is the burning in your muscles when you push past your limits. It is the frustration of confronting a complex idea until it yields its secrets. It is the ache of raw vulnerability when you speak your unedited truth to another. You must begin to desire the difficulty itself, to see the obstacle not as a barrier to your goal, but as the goal itself. For it is in the wrestling, not the victory, that strength is forged. The modern world sells you shortcuts, life hacks, and efficiencies. You must choose the long, arduous, inefficient path, the path of mastery, the path of depth. Stop asking, what will make me happy? And start asking, what hardship will make me worthy? This leads to the second great act of rebellion. You must move from a life of consumption to a life of creation. Your mind has been turned into a passive vessel, a mere receptacle for the endless stream of content the culture industry provides. You must now make it a fountain. Turn off the screens, silence the podcasts, close the endless tabs. Pick up an instrument, a pen, a block of wood, a lump of clay, and make something. It does not matter if it is good. The world does not need another mediocre painting or a poorly written poem, but you do. You need the act itself. Creation is the pure, undiluted expression of the will. When you are creating, you are not reflecting a trend. You are imposing your order onto chaos. You are taking the scattered fragments of your experience and forging them into a new reality. It is in this act that you begin to hear the faint whisper of your own voice, your own style, your own values, emerging from beneath the rubble of 1,000 borrowed identities. This is you creating your own why. This is the path to what Nietzsche called amor fati, the love of one's fate. It is the most powerful weapon against the whining discontent of the last man. Amor fati is not passive acceptance. It is an active, fiery, joyful affirmation of your life in its entirety. It is looking at your past, your failures, your wounds, your regrets, the things that keep you up at night and not just accepting them, but willing them to have happened exactly as they did. Why? Because every single one of those moments, beautiful and horrific, has conspired to bring you to this moment, armed with the awareness you now possess. To wish any of it away would be to wish yourself away. To love one's fate is to declare, this life, this struggle, this unique constellation of pain and joy, I will it. I affirm it. I would not trade it for any other. This is the ultimate freedom. When you can say yes to your own existence, the hollow promises of the market lose their power. You no longer need a Tuscan villa to validate your life, because your life, exactly as it is, has become a work of art that you yourself are sculpting. You now hold the chisel. You have reclaimed the power to define what is good, what is beautiful, and what is meaningful. You have learned how to break the cage. But the most profound realization is yet to come. It is not about what you have escaped from, it is about what you see when you are finally standing in the open air, free to face the terrifying, magnificent truth of reality itself. You have shattered the cage. You have learned to court hardship, to create rather than consume, to affirm your entire existence with a roaring yes. You are standing in the rubble, beneath a vast and open sky, free from the tyranny of borrowed wants. But what now? This freedom is more terrifying than any prison, for here there are no maps, no signposts, and no guarantees. Here, you must finally confront the fundamental nature of reality itself, and in doing so, discover the final, most powerful realization of all. The problem was never your desires, the hunger you felt, the gnawing ache for more, the relentless striving that was not the sickness. That was the only thing about you that was ever truly healthy. That feeling was the sound of a god screaming in a cage too small for it. For what is the universe in its rawest form? Nietzsche gave it a name: the will to power. Do not mistake this for the vulgar, brutish desire to dominate others. That is a weak man's interpretation, the last man's fear of a concept he cannot grasp. The will to power is a cosmic principle. It is the intrinsic, insatiable drive within every living thing, from the smallest blade of grass pushing through concrete to the grandest supernova exploding across a galaxy, to grow, to expand, to overcome resistance, to discharge its strength, and to become more than it currently is. It is the relentless, creative, and destructive energy that animates all of existence. It is not good or evil, it simply is. This is the fundamental truth. You are not a creature seeking a static state called happiness. You are a vessel of the will to power. That profound restlessness you feel is the universe itself, surging through you, demanding expression. This is the paradigm shift that changes everything. The anxiety and emptiness of your modern life were never caused by having desires. They were caused by channeling this immense, cosmic force into pathetic, trivial outlets. You were trying to quench a star's thirst with a thimble of water. You aimed the force that carves canyons at winning an argument online. You used the energy that builds empires to curate a slightly more impressive social media profile. The culture industry and the last man's morality function as a massive dam, holding back this torrential river of power. They promise you a safe, placid reservoir of contentment. But what you get is a stagnant, swampy marshland of the soul, breeding mosquitoes of anxiety and depression. Your suffering was the groaning of the dam, straining under a pressure it was never meant to hold. Your freedom, then, is not the freedom to be happy, it is the freedom to finally open the floodgates. To break free is to consciously align yourself with this fundamental drive of reality. It is to understand that life is not about arriving at a safe harbor, but about becoming a better sailor on a chaotic and magnificent sea. You must actively seek out the resistances that will allow you to discharge your power in a way that creates growth. Your purpose is not something you find. It is something you build by pushing against the world. Your life becomes your masterwork. Think of the abandoned theme parks of our youth, places like River Country, once meticulously curated for manufactured joy, now left to nature. The last man seeks the original park safe, clean, predictable. The overman, the free spirit, explores the ruins. He finds beauty not in the sterile perfection of the plan, but in the way the wild vines have shattered the concrete, the way nature has reclaimed its territory with a chaotic, terrifying, and breathtaking vitality. He doesn't want the ride. He wants the adventure. This is your choice. You can live in the safe, managed theme park of the last man's world, or you can venture into the wild, overgrown jungle of reality, where real danger and real beauty reside. So, the final question is not what you want, but what your will to power wants. What great resistance will you throw yourself against? What discipline will you master? What ignorance will you conquer? What art will you create? What truth will you have the courage to embody? Your task is to find the noblest channel for the river that runs through you. This is the path of self-overcoming. It is a lonely, arduous, and joyful path, and it is the only one that leads to a life that truly matters. Stop searching for happiness. Start building your strength. The world does not need another happy consumer. It needs more artists of life, more creators of values, more free spirits who have the courage to dance on the edge of the abyss and sing their song back into the chaos. The power is already within you, waiting. What will you do with it?